Well, good evening, everyone. For joining us. Good afternoon if you're in the center or western part of the United States. We're really glad you were able to join us tonight. Got a very important topic, and we're going to have a little different presentation this evening. I'm very pleased to have my colleague and the director of sales for Reveal My DNA with us tonight, Adam Davis. He's going to kind of start us off a little bit different, and then we're going to go into some of the details of the APOE4 gene, Alzheimer's disease, and proactive steps we can take when we find out our genotypes.
All right, thanks, Ben. And thank you for joining us tonight, everyone. I just want to touch a little bit from a kind of practice management side and how to utilize this test. One of the things we're seeing is a lot of practitioners, when we talk with them and help go over results, they realize the importance of doing this on as many patients and as many age ranges as possible. One of the things that I would have loved to have known when I was a kid was how to, manage my diet from a macro and micro perspective. I want to know how much fat I need to eat, how much protein, what type of carbohydrate load I should be having. Um, you know, as we see the rise of diabetes, of dementia, of Alzheimer's, of all these, you know, uh, degenerative diseases that are lifestyle based. 9 out of the 10 leading causes of death are all related to diet and lifestyle. And this test can it provides that roadmap. It's an amazing piece of science backed testing that can really drive your practice from a health perspective, but also from a financial perspective. A little bit about ourselves. We are partnered with a lab called Gene by Gene down in Houston. Um, you know, it's a lot of you already know this, so I'll just be brief. But privacy is very important to us. We don't sell the data. It's safeguarded. There's multiple firewalls that information goes through when it's passed from the lab to the portal. You're never going to get it sold. It's not going to any other country, any other pharmaceutical company, anything like that. So you can know that privacy is very important. Um, you know, the beauty of this test is every patient only has to do it once, and they have that information for life. You have that to help manage their care for life. Um, you literally can. It is a personalized plan based on their genetics, and their genetics don't change. We can influence epigenetic factors through diet and lifestyle, but their hardwired genes do not change. And that's what the beauty of this test is. Now, we will have a couple other tests coming out, one for longevity, which has some new genes in there that we've never tested before, a detox panel, and a methylation panel. And then down the road, as a little teaser, we do have, hopefully in the works, an epigenetic test that will show how the nutrition that we recommend from our comprehensive test actually affects the genetic expression. So lots of cool stuff coming. And here's just some info on why you should use Reveal. I mean, literally, our report is backed by over 900 peer-reviewed studies. Backs our report. So you're not, not like a lot of these other retail labs that are, just doing a very surface level analysis of your genetics. This is actually going in depth and seeing how specific genes affect other genes and how they function together. And we have top of the line equipment from a company called Illumina. We're 99.9% accurate. And again, we use the highest quality standards, Oxford rating scale for our test, which means that there's a 1 through 5 star rating for the amount of research that backs the genes. And the majority of our tests are 4 and 5 stars in that Oxford rating scale. And there might be a few 3 stars, but we do not use poor quality science to back our genes. And other major companies that you may have heard of, they do use lower quality or no science backing their tests at all. So it's a very high level test that we use, and you're getting it the cheapest on the market and the quickest turnaround time. So we definitely have it's a 3 to 4 week turnaround. We have our initial cost is $295 wholesale, and that is cheaper than any functional lifestyle test on the market, practitioner based. So yeah, you can support your patients with this personalized nutrition. We can help make lifestyle recommendations. You can obviously support them through acupuncture, through chiropractic, through whatever modality you actually do. And this also pairs well with other labs, because you can actually see that patients may need some blood work based on their genetic makeup. And so this is what the test reveals. Again, the macros, that'll look at fats, proteins, carbs, looks at all your vitamins, your minerals, a very broad range of phytonutrients. It looks at your toxin sensitivity, mental health, immune support, cardiovascular and athletic performance. We can actually tailor somebody's workout plan based on their genetics. We can tell them when they should and shouldn't block fast, and have that who has a better blood sugar dysregulation based on some of your genetics. So you may be an intermittent faster. You may not actually have to do that with once you get your genetics, or you see your patient's genetics. So all these different things are tested for with our test. We have 92 genes and about 112 to 114 different SNPs that we test for. So yeah, here's some resources. We have a genetic reference guide. We have worked with multiple companies in the past, different supplement companies, and we can help you make those product recommendations. We have a guide. We have webinars. Ben has a bi-weekly webinar where he teaches different sections of the test. So, and those are archived as well. We can put that link if you'd like to sign up to listen to those, or get the recordings in our chat. We have in-office staff trainings if you like. We can do Zooms. I mean, we're obviously nationwide, but if we're close, we can do in-office trainings for you. We love going over your results with your patients. So if you get the test and you don't have time, you want us to put together a report for you, we will absolutely do that. We have brochures. We have all sorts of marketing materials to help you. So these are some of the flyers that we have. You can support in office. We actually have a nice 16 by 20 poster as well. If anybody's interested, we can send you one of those. We've developed social media campaigns for you, so you can use Facebook or Instagram, and you can post. We've got templated genetic information. So APOE, which we were talking about tonight, you can post this on Instagram, Facebook, have your patients contact you over this. So we can build out anything for you as well. We're very customizable in that aspect. And then we have some nice reporting tools. So this is a quick reference. Just you kind of circle the high priorities. This is one that Ben and I put together personally for you. We comb through their reports. We make all their dietary recommendations. We go through each section and list their high priorities, and then discuss this with you on a one-on-one consult for no charge. So we are happy to do that. We want to grow your practice. That is our goal. We want to get your patients healthy, provide this lifestyle and this dietary recommendation for life, and then get them on what we like to call a lifetime protocol. It could be 2 or 3 things that really can support their methylation, their detoxification, their mental capacity if they have this APOE status, which on this example, somebody had a 2-4. And then it's beautiful how it correlates. This test correlates with all the genetics match up, showing you how you should eat, what you should eat. So if you don't have an account with us yet, just go to revealmydna.life and you can sign up for a free account. You get 10 free kits mailed to you. You don't have to pay for them until the patient signs up for the actual test. How they swab it, they send it in, you pay for it when you register it. So it's a very simple, straightforward procedure. It's 2 cheek swabs, 30 seconds on each side. You put it in a little reagent, you send that off. It's a prepaid envelope. They don't have to do anything except swab their cheeks. And we have seen a lot of doctors charge $349, $399, $499. So you can, you obviously have to charge for your time, and we are absolutely thrilled to be able to help you and, you know, make recommendations. If you don't want that, we can teach you how to read the reports. We can teach you about the sections. Ben teaches a phenomenal, that webinar is great. So hop on that every other week. And we are really, we're here for you. So, and we will help you in any way we can. And then, yeah, again, you can meet with us. And we're gonna be happy to do anything you need. And again, it's a super simple test, and you know, that's kind of it for my presentation. If you have any questions, shoot them in the slide. But I can't. This really simplifies. If you're stuck and you don't know where to go, this simplifies the entire procedure for your patients. You do not need uh, anything more than this if you want to build a successful nutrition practice and get your patients very, very well. So I'll turn it over to Ben. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot it in the chat. But I know that was kind of a quick overview, but I just can't emphasize how important this test is and how it can really spark an unbelievably successful nutrition practice just by doing the test.
Thanks, Adam. That was great. It's a lot of the nitty gritty I don't usually get into in my talks. I like to kind of focus on the sections of the test and let you understand why it's so important and where patients that you're seeing regularly will benefit from this. So they're coming in for all different issues, obviously, including anxiety, including metabolic issues, endocrine issues, detoxification issues, and the test covers those in detail. So, I really like to focus on that, but I rarely get to talk about like what Adam's there talking about. We're talking about marketing support, education support, practice support that we have available for you. And, we're here and we really want to make this as easy as possible. We also find that, we have an availability that you should not feel bad asking us about. We are here to help you. So with that, I want to move forward with the topic of tonight, kind of under talking about the APOE4 gene, Alzheimer's, and mental health around that, and kind of give you a deeper dive into that little bit of the test. But of course, this evening shouldn't just be focusing on this. Again, we want to make sure you as the practitioner are comfortable with the utilization of this test in your practice. So I too am going to go ahead and share now. So give me one moment. So topic of the evening, the recent findings on APOE4 homozygosity. And as we move through this presentation, it's not very long. I don't need, you don't need to take too many notes. I have this presentation available for you. We can share this, but I just wanted you to catch a couple very profound key ideas that will really help anybody who comes into your practice regarding the genetic risks and the proactive steps they can take regarding the potential of Alzheimer's disease. So Adam covered a lot of this here, the quality and the qualitative side of the test. And, we talk about having the high resolution, genomic variants. We talk about more data from a small amount of DNA taken, very small amount, higher output with something they call sample multiplexing, a very complex, sophisticated, high-end, new tech for this test itself. The components here Adam covered, but the one thing that I want to really emphasize here is that, we get into these genotypes that show these specific metabolic needs and lifestyle recommendations. So what does that mean? We're talking about macronutrients, micronutrients, minerals, plant-based phytonutrients, exercise, and sleep. And the reported findings provide specific genotypes that show very specific disease risk assessment, including, but not limited to, Alzheimer's disease. But that's the one we're going to focus on today. So let's just talk about this very briefly, the APOE genetic status is what is looked at on our test. The disease is a progressive neurological disorder that causes memory loss, cognitive decline, and changes in behavior. So I say those are three major symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. And those are three things you want to either slow down, mitigate, reduce, or stop if possible when you're talking about someone with Alzheimer's disease. So we want to focus on that, right? We want to focus on this, not so much the disease, we have this disease, right? We want to focus on the fact that people with the disease are suffering with memory loss, cognitive decline, and changes in their behavior. That's really where the focus is for us. It's not so much a label of this disease and wow, it's this overwhelming idea. So what we want to do, they're going to have a decline in their cognitive function, their ability to perform daily activities. We want to prevent that progression of disease. It's caused by an abnormal deposit in the brain that leads to gradual destruction over time. Of course, we know it affects memory and thinking and certainly behavior, as we mentioned. And ultimately, it really affects an individual's ability to carry out even the most simple tasks and then communicate how they feel. And most importantly, genetic predispositions play the significant role in the Alzheimer's risk. While the age is the most significant risk factor for developing the disease, genetics play a crucial role, particularly in cases where the disease manifests at an earlier age or runs in families. So this is something we can find out, right? So a brand new study came out this spring, and basically what it says is that almost all APOE4 homozygotes genotypes exhibited Alzheimer's disease pathology and had significantly higher levels of Alzheimer's disease biomarkers from age 55 on compared to APOE3 homozygotes or 2. By age of 65, nearly all had abnormal amyloid levels in cerebral spinal fluid, and 75% had positive amyloid scans, with the prevalence of those markers increasing with age. So it was a progression with age, indicating near full penetrance of Alzheimer's disease biology in APOE4 homozygotes. So basically, virtually everyone they found in the study with a APOE4 homozygote, which means 2, and it's of 1. So I'll show you that in a minute. Basically, has the significant Alzheimer's risk, and therefore we need to do something about it. So let's take a look. So the APOE4 gene is a lipid binding protein that transports triglycerides and cholesterol in multiple tissues, including the brain, of course. The E4 allele is common in hunter-gatherer communities, while the E3 and E2 alleles are most common in agriculture communities, and in fact, most common overall. So they seem to be negatively impacted even more, the folks with the APOE4, by the standard American diet and they need more protein and less carbohydrates in their diet. So it's interesting. So they come from a hunter-gatherer background, genetically speaking, and therefore, unlike the agrarian community, they do worse with processed food, worse with grain, worse with carbs, and better with vegetables and protein. We'll take a look at that in a minute. All right, and so when we see this here, those who inherit 2 copies of the APOE4 gene have the greatest risk, and that's homozygosity. Heterozygosity means you have one of 2 different genes, homo being singular of the same, and hetero being different. So what are the APOE4 genotypes? What are we so concerned about? What do we find in our test? Well, first of all, we find that about 25% of the people carry 1 copy of APOE4, and only 2 to 3% carry 2 copies. So the homozygosity that we were just looking at, it only appears in about 3% of the population. But having just 1 of the APOE4 genes, alleles, will create a risk factor. So we want to talk about that in a minute. So first of all, there are trade-offs and strength and weaknesses in each genotype. So from the hunter-gatherer period, that people gained as genetic strengths continue to persist into the modern era. The highest negative impacted folks are those with Caucasian and Asian ancestry from the Northern Hemisphere. Now, this is really important. It's important to note that not everyone who carries the APOE4 gene variant will develop Alzheimer's disease, okay? And not everyone with Alzheimer's disease carries the APOE4 gene variant. There are other genetic and environmental factors, and they play a role in the development of the disease. However, and this is very important, the presence of the APOE4 gene can help identify individuals who may be at increased risk, allowing for early intervention and lifestyle modifications that may help reduce the risk or delay the onset of Alzheimer's disease. And I'd say the symptoms or the expression of the disease. So this is probably the most important thing here, allowing the early intervention that may help reduce the risk of the Alzheimer's disease. Okay, so how do we move forward with that? First of all, we have the identification of the genotype through our DNA analysis. Then we have personalized recommendations for managing the risk factors, including nutrients, diet, exercise, and sleep. We empower individuals to make informed lifestyle choices, and there are many options and actions, therefore, to take. For example, in Alzheimer's patients, the need for DHA, choline, and uridine are all enhanced because their basal plasma levels may be subnormal. And higher dosage is needed in their diet or supplementing for correcting the disease-related deficiencies in the synaptic membranes and synapses. Researchers were able to prove that a formulation with DHA, choline, uridine, B vitamins, vitamin C, and vitamin E improved memory scores and the connectivity between brain regions among patients with early Alzheimer's disease. That's really, really important. Several compounds isolated from medicinal mushrooms have been shown to promote neurite outgrowth, including those from lion's mane mushroom, reishi mushroom, tiger's milk, ganoderma, and cordyceps. So most importantly, the research has shown positive action steps people who have these genotypes and variants may take to help manage this. And it's good to remember a hunter-gatherer's diet is focused on protein, choline, omega-3s, uridine, creatine, berries, nuts, seeds, antioxidants from foods, low in carbs, high in potassium, and avoiding alcohol. These all appear to be the best strategy for allele 4 carriers with Northern heritage. In addition, cardiovascular exercise for 30 minutes a day, up to 5 days a week, has been found to dramatically reduce the risk of allele 4 in Alzheimer's disease and improve lipid markers. So there are a lot of things people can do when they come up with this APOE4 allele. So what does this mean for us? Well, first of all, there's really no effective drug for someone with APOE4. There's going to be a lot of research on it going forward. They're going to be looking for drugs to help with the slowing the progression of the Alzheimer's disease and amyloid plaques and so on and so forth. But right now, only lifestyle modifications, exercise, for example, sleep, nutrients, dietary recommendations, such as fish oil, cruciferous vegetables, etc., are known to help mitigate and stop the progression of the disease. All of this is embedded within the report that you get from Reveal My DNA. And I think that is the very most important take-home message, is that, yes, we can find for your patients if they have the high risk for Alzheimer's disease, right, through this APOE genotype. But we also give them strategies to help give you, strategies to help them manage this situation. So our belief now and understanding since this groundbreaking research came out is the importance of genetic awareness and to be proactive, and therefore, taking action today that can help prevent issues in the future. So we think it's very important to find out the patient's risk and then mitigate it with the actionable results. And this can be, anyone in a family comes up E4, you probably want to get the rest of the family tested. If there's been a parent with dementia, with cognitive decline, memory loss, personality changes, who maybe not yet has had the diagnosis, you can test them really easily and then employ the strategies that have been found in these Oxford-rated studies to help them. You can then also take the test yourself to see where you stand and what your risk factors are, as well as your family, your children, and this, of course, cuts across all the patients as well. So that is why we think this test is so important for you, so important for the practice, so important for the patients, because you can have these actionable items. So do we have any questions at all, right, regarding the tests or the action items there? Certainly, Adam, you can come back in here.
I will say that, who doesn't, in my opinion, who doesn't want to know their risk factors for something like this? I personally want to know if that donut I eat tomorrow is going to potentially cause cognitive decline, because I like to eat donuts. So if I know that I can't eat a donut, I don't want sorry, I'm just trying to be humorous, want my cognitive function to lessen because I have the APOE4 gene. Luckily, I don't, so I can have a donut every now and then. But this truly will, give them the map for the rest of their life. And I think the earlier the better. We have multiple practices that are testing as many kids as they can, because why would you not? It looks at aspartame, it looks at food dyes, which can be there. Those are neurotoxins too. So not only is it some of those other factors, the E4 if they're consuming massive amounts of aspartame. So if the person has E3, E4, Ben, I'll let you take that one if you see in the chat. But this test is an amazing, and genetics are the forefront of what's coming. There's a test called the Grail test that can, and sorry, we'll get to your question in 2 seconds, can detect cancer 10 years in advance before it's ever progressed. There's tiny little genetic pieces in your bloodstream that those cancer cells are producing, and they can tell you what type of cancer and how long. It's amazing what they're doing, and that test is actually available, I think, through Illumina technology. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, Ben, I'll let you answer Michelle's question.
Sure. So first question is, what if test results say the person has the E3, E4 allele? Does that mean they share APOE3 and APO4? Yeah, so that's exactly what we're talking about. That that person we would call heterozygous, and they have, yeah, still there, one of each. And, if you want to bear with me for a second, I can find a test that just had it on my desktop actually, that has it, and I can show you what it looks like from that perspective. So the highest risk is E4, E4. The second highest risk is E4, E3, E4, E2, E2, E4, E3, E4. So it's also good to bear in mind that if you have one E4 allele, does not mean you're going to get Alzheimer's. But it does mean you are at a greater genetic risk, and your risk can increase or reduce based on your diet and lifestyle. So if we can if I can just share this for a minute while Adam, you want to, I think there was another question about general foods. I think I can handle that one too. Let me
What was
share.
the other question? I didn't see that one.
Yeah. So,
And I will say this is where the test correlates beautifully. If you have an E4 variant, one of if you're heterozygous, homozygous, your test is going to tell you you should be low carb or very low carb. So there's no wiggle room saying, oh, well, I've got this SNP, but I can still eat carbs. Like, no, you need to reduce your sugars.
that's right. So this person we're looking at right here has E4E, E4, E3, E3, E4, excuse me. Here nor there. So again, you're going to see this kind of statistics. Again, E4, E4 genotype has the strongest risk factor of getting Alzheimer's, but having even one E4 allele increases your risk. So what that means is, doesn't mean you're going to get it. Are you going to positively or negatively impact your genes? You know, that's your epigenetics. So what do we want them to do? Certainly follow the research. So they took Alzheimer's patients here, and you see the need for DHA, choline, uridine were all needed. They were able to provide and prove that a formulation of certain supplements and nutrients reduce this, and exercise, for example. So I know one question someone said, what are the typical foods people eat regarding supporting APOE4?
Ben, we just scroll down to first to their macronutrients just to show the breakdown on this patient. It can be as simple as this. You can tell them you need increased protein. This patient needs very low carbohydrates. And, I always tell people very low is 50 grams or less per day. I think 100 to 150 is still too high, in my opinion.
Now, the reason of that number being upwards to 100, Adam, is because they're including fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Right. So the research has shown that fruits and vegetables, they want a low carb diet, but it's even more impacted by the refined carbs, as you see here, and the grains. So, typically if they're at 50 carbs during that day and they say, well, I'm going to have another sweet potato or big bowl of big chef salad, well, there's carbs in there. Certainly there is, but because most of them come from plants, you can push upwards to 100 grams. Be sensible. But then someone else asked, what are the general foods?
You skipped the fats. It shows the fat recommendations for, sorry, Ben.
It's all right. I was trying to jump down to those foods. Here we go.
This, again, with this patient, they need increased omega-3s. Need that for that myelin formation, that the good, like Ben said, DHA. You don't need a lot of mono and polyunsaturated, and it tells you the type of saturated fats to avoid, which that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, go ahead, Ben. Sorry, I'll stop talking.
That's okay. So you see the fats here that Adam mentioned. So, but I'm just gonna fly down here to the very fun part of the test. And by the way, hunter-gatherer provides a lot of other genetic strengths. And when you get to this section, you'll see they have it right here listed. They'll say, my health report strengths. This section is a thorough overview of your individual gene function across the entire analysis, just these pages. So be proud of your inherent genetic strengths. And this person has a lot of great stuff around their heart and their cardiovascular and other pathways. So, everyone's different, but it's really important to keep in mind, we can all positively and negatively impact our genes. And we know certainly here living in the United States, we do a lot with our food supply and chemicals and toxins and all that nature. So here is their personalized DNA-based grocery list. It's the most expansive actual summary of what you can do. I don't believe other companies will be providing you this kind of information. And to dramatically upregulate gene function. That's really what I've been talking about this whole time. How do we improve gene function and support you regardless of the E4 or E3, right? And no technical expertise is required. Just make these recommendations non-negotiable when you visit the grocery store. You have to eat anyhow. So yes, you can absolutely supplement with all these nutrients, but it's also great to eat these foods. So as we say, you don't have to eat all these foods every day. You just have to eat some of these foods every day. And you see this beautiful list of foods here on the right and which nutrients they relate to, and nice pictures for your patients to see. Everybody who takes this test will be getting this report. And you see it's a really wide array of wonderful foods to eat on a regular basis. So Adam, I actually would like to ask you a question. Is there any chance that you could talk about upcoming tests that we're going to be doing?
Yeah. So I had briefly mentioned we've got a longevity panel coming out with a gene called FOX3. It will really give you that, just kind of tells you how well you're going to age, and it's related to a few other genes. We're going to have a detox panel that it'll be very similar to what we already have, but if you only want to run the detoxification panel, if you do a lot of detox in your clinic and you want to know specifically what somebody might have a weakness for. And then we're also going to have a standalone methylation panel, which the reason to do these is because, again, Ben had mentioned our test kind of cross talks, and when it tests for a specific SNP, it will then trigger for another gene to be tested, and this methylation panel will dive deeper than our current test and be able to more accurately show how and what your patients need to do to support those methylation pathways. And if you're not familiar with methylation, or if you've heard it, I know there's a few people out there that are really big on this, or there's companies that have specific methylation tests. Basically, if you're a poor methylator, you're not protecting your DNA and you're having poor replication of your genetic material. And that's where you can have these mutations, and that's where these mutations can lead to, certain disease states, of course, but also poor functioning genes. And, we know how to support those pathways, and these tests will give us a clear picture in terms of, your potential for living longer, your potential for a healthier liver. One of my doctors always likes to say you have to have a healthy liver to be a good liver, which is, might be a little
Great
cheesy.
line. It's a great
What's
line.
that?
It's a great line.
You'll remember it. And then, the methylation pathways. So those should be coming within the next couple of weeks, I believe. At least two of those. I think the methylation and the detox panels will be out. The longevity is taking a little bit longer. And then, as I mentioned, we will have in the future an epigenetic test that will look at how the nutrition is actually affecting your genetic expression. And that one will be a blood spot, I believe. I'm not sure on the other three that are coming out. I think those are still cheek swabs. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if you know, Ben, but
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so it'll be the same company testing, same array, so the same quality, just a little bit more in depth, and will give us a lot of great information. So if you don't want to run I think everybody should have this comprehensive panel done just for that roadmap. But if somebody's only focused on methylation, you can easily now do that. So, and they're going to be run cheaper as well. So it'll be a nice break for your patients if they just want to see some of those different pathways and their longevity and detox and methylation. So yeah, those will be coming very, very soon. And we'll obviously do some marketing campaigns for you and help you to promote those in your practice.
Great. Does anybody else have any other questions about the tests, how it works, sections? I know we were focused on the APOE4 and the Alzheimer's tonight, but if you have other questions while you have us, we're happy to answer them.
Epigenetic test will be early 2025 and in blood spot.
Great, thank you.
And again, if anybody wants us to go over these reports with you and help build protocols and answer any questions you might have, please let us know. That's what we're here for. Definitely, if you haven't done this, you need to order it for yourself, your spouse. Just make it. Christmas is coming up, so make it a nice present for your loved ones. I mean, give it to your kids. Make sure that they know their roadmap and you know, again, 73% are diabetic and pre-diabetic in this country. I think it's closing on like 30% of all kids are obese. Right? We can change that.
Yeah.
There's definite studies showing that if you follow your genetic lifestyle plan, you improve all of your blood markers and you lose weight. They did a really nice study with like 400 patients where just doing that alone changed their lab values, and the average weight loss was like 10 pounds without changing, just obviously changing how you eat and how you move. So this can absolutely impact your health. If you're not going to use it in practice, at least do it for yourself. And then, have us come give presentations for you. We can do Zooms if you're out of state. We can do in office if you want. We are happy to do this for you.
For sure. And yeah, so the link is there to jump on the meetings every other week. You can jump in anytime, because what I do is I'll go over a section of the test, and then the next week we'll be doing a different section. So it doesn't matter if you missed a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 months, because each presentation is unique unto itself, covering its own section. And we always have plenty of time for Q&A. And we sometimes get into nice discussions and digress into um, different parts of it, just like what Adam just said, where GLP-1 agonists are becoming the rage, right? It's top selling billion-dollar drugs, because people are not eating right to their genetics. And that's just a fact. First of all, they don't know what their genotype, how they should be eating. Number two, they wouldn't know how to eat if they did know their genotype, because they have not been furnished with this information. And number three, left to their own devices, people don't necessarily know what to eat. And now we are leading the world in the metabolic syndrome problems. So, and one thing I don't know if you mentioned, Adam, but within the test, there's going to be some new genes, and people have asked over the course of the last year, oh, why don't you test for this or that, or how come I want to know about this? And the reason why a specific gene or genotype might not be in the test that we have now is because there has not been enough Oxford rated studies to create actionable steps for the patient to take once we find out whether they have that genotype, right? It's really important to us as a company. I'm talking about Reveal My DNA. It goes to our core that we are not here to, tell you your future. We don't have a crystal ball, and we're not doing tarot cards, and there's nothing wrong with that stuff. But for us, if you don't have a roadmap to an actionable item on your future, it's just not going to make it into our test yet. So everything that you see has gone through people with those genotypes, clinical trials, to help with any of the issues those genotypes are related to. So elevated homocysteine, gout, skin cancer, like you name it, people with different genes.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't done the test yet and need help with the kits or registering, we're happy to send those to you, and we can walk you through the whole registration process. Have a great night, everyone.